The Tiny Bridge. Ben and Allie were best friends. Ben lived in a village beside a gentle creek. Allie lived in the village on the other side of the creek. Every afternoon, Allie and Ben met at the creek and played in the sand under the shade of the tiny bridge that connected their two villages. One afternoon, Ben and Allie heard two people shouting at each other from opposite sides of the bridge. Allie recognized one of the voices. "It's the village Poobah," she said. Ben knew the other voice. "It's the High Tootie of my village," he said. The tiny bridge was too narrow for both the High Tootie and the Poobah to walk across at the same time, and they were arguing about who should go first. "I am the High Tootie. Let me pass," demanded the High Tootie. "I am the Poobah. Let me pass," commanded the Poobah. Neither the Poobah nor High Tootie moved. "Do you know what this means?" the High Tootie said. "Yes," snapped the Poobah. Then both the High Tootie and Poobah raised their fists in the air and roared, "This means war!" The two leaders spun around and stormed back to their villages to prepare for war. Ben looked at Allie. "They said war! We have to do something." For a long time the children tried to think what to do. Suddenly Allie said, "I have an idea," and she leaned over and whispered her plan to Ben. "It might work." "It has to work," Ben said. "Let's do it." The children wished each other luck and then ran back to their villages to try to stop the war. When Allie reached her village, she hurried to the central square where the Poobah was already giving orders to his soldiers. She ran up to the Poobah and tugged his cloak. "Mr. Poobah, Mr. Poobah, excuse me, sir." The Poobah looked down at Allie and glared. "What is it, child?" "Mr. Poobah, sir, we can't go to war. We don't have a flag. We can't fight a war without a flag." "The girl is right," said one of the Poobah soldiers. "We do need a flag." "Fine, fine," the Poobah muttered. "Go make us a flag," he told Allie. "I will," Allie answered, and she ran off to make a flag. Meanwhile, in Ben's village, the High Tootie was also giving orders to soldiers. Ben ran straight to her and interrupted, "Madam High Tootie, Madam High Tootie, we can't fight. We don't have a flag. We need a flag." Once again a soldier agreed. "The boy is right, Madam High Tootie. We do need a flag." "So be it," said the High Tootie. She turned to Ben and ordered, "Boy, go make us a flag." "Right away," Ben answered, and he scurried away to make a flag for his village. The next morning both armies marched out of their villages towards the bridge where they would meet and fight. When the armies reached the bridge, both the High Tootie and the Poobah shouted, "Open fire!" But the soldiers in both armies ignored the High Tootie and the Poobah. No one moved. "What's wrong?" roared the Poobah. "Why do you all disobey?" thundered the High Tootie. Soldiers from each army pointed at the other army across the creek. "We can't open fire. Look at their flag. That's our flag. We can't shoot at our flag." Sure enough, each army was carrying the same flag. Just then, Allie and Ben, who had been hiding under the tiny bridge, scampered up the bank of the creek and ran towards the middle of the bridge. The startled soldiers stared at the two children. Allie spoke first. "This war almost started because this bridge is too small," she said. Ben continued, "So why don't we build a bigger bridge?" The High Tootie and Poobah were silent, but their soldiers began to mutter, "The children are right." Soon soldiers on both sides of the creek were shouting, "Build a bigger bridge!" And that is exactly what they began to do. When the work was finished, the soldiers stood aside as the High Tootie and Poobah approached the bridge. On one side stood the Poobah, on the other the High Tootie. The Poobah bowed as he said to the High Tootie, "Please, you go first." The High Tootie returned the bow and said, "No, Honorable Poobah, you go first." Neither moved. Then both the Poobah and High Tootie stood erect and scowled at each other. "Uh-oh," Ben whispered to Allie. "This is how the trouble began." "Please, Honorable Poobah, please, Madam High Tootie," Allie pleaded. "You can both go first. The bridge is big enough for both of you to cross at the same time." Both the Poobah and High Tootie stopped scowling and began to smile as they realized that the children were right. They gave each other a friendly nod, then walked to the center of the bridge where they met and embraced. All the soldiers cheered. Ben and Allie were heroes. They had stopped a war. Good night.